If you couldn't go from literally homeless to making $30,000 a month, you're manifesting wrong. $30,000 a month is the real number to be low-key rich in 2026. To have that abundance mentality, to completely wipe out fear, to not be arguing with gas prices. I've got a family group chat right now where my family's just arguing with the gas prices. I don't know what what they think they're going to do about it, if they're going to come down from just talking about it, but I don't give a crap about the gas prices. When I go to the store, I don't give a crap how much the steak's going to cost. I buy the one I want. I don't go overboard. I don't go eat at five-star restaurants every day. I don't care about that, and I don't want to. But do I go places that I want to eat? Do I care about what I'm going to order? Do I look at the prices on the menu? Like, do I buy the single ply toilet paper? No, I don't care. I get what I want and what I need, and if I want to travel or go somewhere, I go. If I don't want to work on any given afternoon, I go to the beach, which is actually most days. I spend about 3 hours on the beach every single day. I get people in my comments going like, "Oh, like, do you actually have the abundance that you're talking about? How come nobody that talks about abundance actually?" Dude, like, I spend 3 hours a day getting a suntan by the beach. If that ain't abundant, I don't know what is. I'm a simple fellow. I have a half-pound ribeye for lunch nearly every single day, and a few eggs. So yeah, I'm pretty abundant right now, given that I have total time and money freedom. So I've done that for myself, and I actually have a gig for a pretty well-known faceless YouTube coach. I teach an AI YouTubing call every Friday as part of his program, and he pays me $100 an hour for that. And I haven't sent him an invoice in 6 months because I don't care. I probably have a few $1,000s that he owes me that I just haven't bothered to collect yet. Because honestly, if I dropped that call, I wouldn't have much of anybody to talk to because everybody else is at work. So I just enjoy helping people to manifest a lot of money. But it's not necessarily the spiritual crowd there, so we got to keep it a little tame when it comes to mindset type of stuff. But literally, if I had to do this all over again, I would go the direct route, and I could go from homeless with nothing but the clothes on my back. Sure, like I would need a laptop computer and a phone, but beyond that, like probably even just if I had a phone, I could swing it. Having a computer makes it easier. But there were a lot of mental blockages that either I had or my business partner had in getting to this point, that we had to argue like cats and dogs to dismantle each other's blockages from the matrix that were designed to keep us in check. Chiefly among those, okay, so when we started making faceless videos, we were doing, we probably made a few $100,000 on YouTube just from the YouTube Partner Program, just from ad revenue. And you could do anything you want. You could do drop shipping, you could do Amazon, you could do affiliate marketing. Like, it doesn't matter. These gurus that teach you this stuff, they're not fake. It's just that most people don't wind up executing on anything ever, and so that they're happier to just get in the comments and say like, this is a scam, because they don't want to face the reality that they could actually do it, because then they would have to admit to themselves that they've been wasting all this time and it was actually possible, and oh shit, I missed out. Yeah, FOMO really hurts. But the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. So let's get that seed planted. But one of the chief arguments that we had was over whether people would even be interested in the type of value that we were offering when it came time to actually sell something. Because to put out a YouTube video, like, honestly, like, we had a hard time believing that people would watch the AI videos that we were putting out in 2023. And, the bar's gone up a bit since then. But, we had a pretty decent sized audience. We probably had a couple 100,000 subscribers on our YouTube channels. And, that was bringing in money. It was good. But then we thought, well, actually, I thought, why don't we establish a private community? Because there's a lot of people in the comments that really wanted to get together and meet other like-minded spiritual folks. And so we put together the #1 Ascension Nexus for Star Seeds and Chosen Ones. It's called the Obsidian Inner Order. And I put that together. We put it up on Patreon, and we were hosting weekly group calls and publishing the recordings and facilitating chats on Discord. But This was my brainchild, and I actually had extensive arguments with my business partner over whether people would actually pay for something non-tangible. That is, my business partner could not believe that there was a such thing as a digital product that somebody would pay for, that she would only pay for physical products. And so that argument went on for probably a month. Like, she's ready to throw something at me at this point. She would probably say it was like a week or so. But anyway, we're arguing about whether digital products exist and whether they're profitable. And she wanted to sell incense boxes. Yeah, she's really going to throw something at me now. She wanted to sell these incense boxes. But if you're selling a physical product, you have to get some factory in China to produce it for you and put things in boxes and find a place to store it and order a bunch of units ahead of time, keep an inventory in a warehouse, and then have them ship it for you. And all that's eating into your margins. And then, God forbid, somebody wants a refund, or there's an issue with delivery and they're going to send it back, and then you got to restock it, or restocking fee, or whatever. Like, it's a gigantic pain in the butt. But then, like, if you sell a digital product, like, you create it once, and there's a fair amount of effort that goes into it, and especially if you're running a software service like we do with Destiny Engine that helps you brainwash yourself into abundance. The link for that's in the bio. There's a lot of maintenance work that goes into it. It ain't a cakewalk per se, but then once you have it up and running, like, you put in the upfront work. It's pretty straightforward to make a bunch of copies of it, and that's why you're able to scale so much easier with information type of products. So you're really leveraging the fact that there's an internet marketplace. If you can't make money on the internet, you're doing it wrong. I hate to say it, like, this stands head and shoulders above trying to peddle something on the street. It's the equivalent of what you'd do in the olden times. Like, you'd go out into the marketplace with your cart full of produce and try to sell something, like along with the rest of the other vendors at a farmer's market, and you'd yell at passersby and try to pitch your thing. And so, they're buying you, the salesperson, but you'd hardly see a few hundred people in a day, as opposed to if you're doing internet marketing correctly, and even that sounds more complicated than it actually is. You're putting yourself in front of thousands or even tens of thousands more people, or even hundreds of thousands, than you would have encountered in a lifetime of farmers markets in just a couple short days. And then you're selling something intangible, information, something that it's still very valuable, but your clients are actually able to support you, the creator, much better, in that you're exchanging what you've worked your entire life for without having to actually pay off all these middlemen that take a cut and keep you poor. So it's a win-win for everybody. So anyway, like, I kind of won out that argument, and I proved that yes, like, people were very excited to join the Obsidian Inner Order and to pay for a group membership in our Discord community, and they had a hell of a time meeting one another, exchanging ideas, and elevating there. And I got a lot of ideas from talking to some of the luminaries of that tribe, and that was where the Destiny Engine was born from. And there were a number of other digital products that we published in the meantime about how to actually use technology for manifestation in ways that our ancestors and forebearers in magical traditions would have given their left arm to have access to these things, because it makes manifestation so much more straightforward. And in fact, it's times are moving so quickly that it's even become a necessary step in the process, that you almost can't manifest without technology now. But why would you? Because this is just where it's at. That's just the age. Okay, and if you're selling digital products, you write a book, you pour your heart out into a book, you now don't have to pay a publisher, you don't have to pay for printing, you don't have to pay for a warehouse, and you get your ideas out to people, and they get to support you so that you can continue to do more for them. So it's just having the confidence to get your ideas out there and to get your personality out there, and having these channels is such a boon for spiritual conscious creators like ourselves. And I imagine if you're watching this, the algorithm believes that if you're not already one of them, you're well on your way. And this message is to tell you, yes, you absolutely can reach that level of abundance where you're not worried about your survival and you can really pursue these passions. Now there were still other blockages that we fought over. Like I didn't want to do a personal channel for the longest time, and my business partner like had to dismantle all of my mental blocks over appearing on camera and talking to people. And bigger than shit, I found out like people are actually willing to listen to me rant. I rant on the phone at anybody who will listen, and now like I can open up the camera on TikTok and people want to listen to what I've got to say. It's the wildest thing. And to get over that, I hear a lot of people have issues with their voice. They have an issue bringing their confidence into their throat chakra. That they have this wound around being heard. And this is something that I believe I healed a while ago with something called the $1 Million Mouthpiece. That's what I've heard it called. So if you have the $1 Million Mouthpiece, a lot of rappers, singers, songwriters will have the $1 Million Mouthpiece because those folks are cultivated by the Hollywood elites. Like they're surrounded by these yes men type of handlers whose job it is to just reinforce, to provide that positive feedback for anything that the child star says for their entire lives until they grow up. And so they grow up not having any remnant of this wound whatsoever, and in fact quite the opposite, that they believe that anything that comes out of their mouth is pure gold and everyone should listen. And in fact, that's why everyone does listen to those people, is because they actually believe in what they're saying. And so when you have the belief in what you're saying, it is going to come with that same energy that, therefore, you should care what I've got to say. So if you want to fix that type of blockage, it's super straightforward. Go to the link in my bio. It's destinyengine.net. And we're actually going to use a technological clone of your own voice. It takes only a 90-second recording. And we're going to make you fall in love with the sound of your own voice. We're going to empower you by installing affirmative programs in your own voice, hours of affirmations that we create for you while we put you into a trance state using the quote-unquote hemisync or binaural technology in a theta state, where your voice, instead of just becoming something that other people don't trust and neither do you, we turn that into gold. We're going to turn that into your $1 million mouthpiece. So get that installed, try it out today. And I want to hear about where you're at in your journey. Let me know in the comments how close you are to your $30,000 a month recurring revenue, because that's about the goalpost now. So we'll see you next time.